Hi, welcome back to MaxBet Podcast, where we cover all things happening in the gaming industry, but in a very unserious way. And today we have a really interesting one. It is mostly about land-based slots and the trends surrounding them. So we have Brendan Moore from EKG Gaming on. They are basically the keepers of the keys when it comes to the industry scoreboard. They keep track of all of the performance data. So they know which games are performing really well, which cabinets. They also expand beyond just land-based. They have curated reports for iGaming, prediction markets, sports betting, and probably a lot of other things that I'm forgetting, so you should just contact them directly yourself. Okay? And then we get to the really fun part where we do rapid fire, and they just have to give one answer with no explanation. Probably my favorite part of the entire podcast. So anyway, this is MaxBet. All right, this is the part of the show that I like to call red flag or green flag. You tell me. I'm going to give you an industry topic, and you're going to tell me, is this a red flag for the industry or a green flag? Okay? As a lot of us know, the big guys in the sportsbook operating world, FanDuel, DraftKings, a bunch of other ones, they pulled out of the AGA. The AGA being the American Gaming Association, during a time where we're trying to figure out predictions. This happened, I think, late 2025. They all left, and the AGA was like, well, we don't need you anyway. They didn't say that, but that was kind of the vibe. But I do feel like it's spicy because this kind of breakup feels public, feels like there was a little bit of toxicity there. Red flag could be that this is probably a time where we really want to have a lot more alignment within our industry. So fragmenting that could mean the delay or the slowdown of lobbying for regulation, for safer gambling laws, things like that, especially with prediction markets coming into the scene. I feel like this breakup was because of that. And I would love to know more. I guess the green flag for the industry would be to signal that these sportsbook operators are big enough, they're mature enough, they can take care of themselves. That's okay. They don't necessarily need the backing of the AGA anymore. And maybe that's a good sign for business as a whole. I want to know about the divorce. Is everyone okay? Like, who gets the kids? I don't know. I wish I could just be like a fly on the wall and just hear both sides. And it's like the divorced parents at the soccer game. Are all of those sportsbook operators, are they all going to attend G2E? Like, are we going to make eye contact? Are we on speaking terms? I'm not sure. I don't know. Mostly I'm just really curious. So if you have any more information on this, please let me know. Moving on. All right, this is the part of the podcast where I tell you that I will be filming podcast episodes while at SBC Miami, SBC Americas, SBC Fort Lauderdale. I don't know. All three of them. The same one. The one that's in June. So if coming to Vegas to film in my beautiful studio has been a blocker for you, this is a great chance to film together while on site. We do have a limited number of sponsored episode slots left for suppliers and vendors. I will also be talking with operators and top industry voices. If you would like to be considered, please drop us a line at hello@maxbetpodcast.com. Okay, and now back to the show. All right, let's get to what I love to call this new segment, the ick of the week. And if you know me, you know it's really just not that hard. My ick of the week is corporate jargon. Here are some phrases that I hear and my interpretation of them. Strategic alignment. This means someone absolutely got fired, and it was not mutual. Leaning in. We're for sure going to overcomplicate this. Number 3, enhanced collaboration. This means we added more meetings, none of which needed to be meetings. Number 4, driving efficiencies. We're going to cut some budgets, but we do still expect the same results. Ooh, and a good one for gaming. This isn't necessarily corporate jargon, but they do love to throw this around. Best in class. This is code for please don't ask for proof. Just trust the confidence in which we said that. Another one is thought leadership. A LinkedIn post is loading as we speak, okay? It is also 1000% written by ChatGPT. Another one would be bandwidth. People love to talk about their bandwidth. And I think that's just code for I don't want to do it, but I want to sound professional when I tell you that I don't want to do it. If you have any other good corporate jargon terms that you also think could be a good fit for the ick of the week, please let me know. I would love to hear them, and I would also love to interpret them in my own way. And now a quick break to talk about one of our sponsors, IGT. Are you looking for proven performers for your casino floor? King Khufu and Magic Rockets both premiered as the #1 games in their respective categories on the latest Eilers and Fantini Games report. Both titles build on player favorite mechanics and recognizable brands that players already love. King Khufu runs on the Rise 32 and Magic Rockets on the Rise 55, both ranked #1 cabinets in the Eilers Fantini cabinet report. Connect with an IGT representative to bring #1 games on #1 cabinets to your casino floor. And now back to the show. All right, welcome back to MaxBet Podcast. We're here with Brendan Moore from EKG. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Again. So happy to have you back. When I have talked to people about your company or referenced you guys, they're like, who is that? And I'm like, oh, it's the people, they're all over LinkedIn. Like, it's not their content, but their little logo is all over LinkedIn because everyone's very proud. The suppliers, they love to have their games and their cabinets and all of that called out on your charts. And then the operators also like to see that too.
Yeah, so EKG, short for Eilers and Krejcik. So if you've ever seen that on LinkedIn and tried to figure out how that was pronounced, that's how you pronounce it. Pretty tough.
I love that they put them back to back too. They're like, we're also we're gonna layer those.
And in short, we're a market research firm focused on gaming. So I'm the director of the Game Performance Database. It's the world's largest repository of game performance. We track 650,000 machines globally. It started off in 2018. Todd Eilers and Rick Eckert, the managing director, were looking for a way to sort of formalize surveying vendor performance and had some operator buy-in. Started off with probably 40,000 machines in 2018, very US focused. And since then, we've really expanded the scope across the US, across different markets, Class 2, Canada, and then now we've expanded our game performance database into Europe, Eastern Europe, Latin America. Our goal's always been to sort of standardize game performance and sort of serve as sort of an objective third party as to what games are performing, what are players drawn to, what kind of mechanics are resonating with players. So yeah, as you said, you probably see a lot of our research fly out there, and we work really closely with operators and vendors alike in collecting that game performance. We standardize it each month. Each month we put out our what I would say is our bread and butter report, our game performance report, and it's basically a report that just sort of stacks up all the different games we're seeing right now, both new and overall. And we're scoring them and trying to understand what's resonating with players and just sort of moving the industry forward.
And this, for operators, is probably like a godsend. Like
Yeah.
When you first started pitching this to operators, were they like, yes, please, we would actually love that?
Well, now there's like hundreds of games coming out each year, right? And you don't have a budget or the floor space for 100 games. And
Right.
how do you sort of sift through which game should I purchase? Because you're also dealing with vendors who are telling you anecdotes about performance. So I think we're coming in there, we're arming operators with a little bit more data to go, I want X amount of these, or I don't want that, or I want more of that. Or I see that's working and I don't have it, why don't I have that? Mm-hmm. So I think we're helping bring some more tools to optimizing your floor, sort of use it as a shopper, like a buyer's catalog too. Like, hey, I saw that at G2E, or I saw that at IGA. How's it performing now? Do I want to invest in that? So yeah, I think it's a pretty nice tool to have. What's also great about it is it's complementary for operators. So how the value exchange works is operators send us a snapshot of monthly performance. We don't ask for anything too intrusive. We're looking for a list of games and some performance ratios, nothing really sensitive such as wins or actuals or things like that. So in an exchange, you get not just the game report, but reports on cabinet performance, ETGs, mechanics, general market trends, just a lot of different things that I think if you're operating, just things you should be privy to. And so it's a pretty good value of exchange and a good suite of tools to have for the operators.
What's like the most common question you get asked from suppliers and from operators?
I think they're just really interested in knowing how can I use this report for vendors, how can I use this report to help improve my product roadmap, make better games, make games that players want to play. And for operators, they're not as, they're not necessarily, they don't need to know the nuts and bolts and the ins and outs of the games. But what can I need to deliver a product that my players want to have, and it's kind of like a buyer's catalog for, okay, I need to go get this. So I think definitely working with both of them on how they can use the reports to sort of improve their strategy, helping vendors understand what products are working or what kind of mechanics or trends are working, and delivering that in a way that's digestible. And same with operators too. How can we deliver a product that, the operators are dealing with a million things a day and a million different reports. So how can we deliver something in a way that's super digestible, and hey, go get this, or hey, this is doing really well, and you don't have it. So I think that's what we've been trying to do, and we're just trying to deliver that efficiently and effectively.
Do you ever get negative feedback about?
Yeah, sometimes games don't do as well as I think they might have. But I would say on net, I think the feedback is mainly positive. I mean, vendors spend so much time on a game. They spend upwards of, spend 1 to 2 years on a game, and I'm sure it's a really nice feeling to see a game come in on, these top 25s. And then on the other hand, it probably is a little bit of a bummer if you spend, all this time on a game and it doesn't hit the list. And that is the nature of the business, unfortunately, too, is there's just so many games that come out, and but the cream rises to the top, though. So
what trends are you seeing right now in the games, or have there been any, like, I guess I should ask, have there been any dark horses this year where you're like, that came out of nowhere?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a dark horse, but, obviously we've been dealing with a lot of the triple pot stuff and perceived persistence, I think, over the past couple of years. And then I think the one that's sort of sticking out now is sort of these nested bonuses. We can call them like a nested hold and spin, or a hold and spin within a hold and spin, a nested wheel. I was looking at this game today from IGT, and it's performing real out the gate. This Enchanted Unicorn Returns.
That's a great name. Is that the name?
Yeah. So it's actually based off the legacy game, and then they added the returns, but now they modernized it. And so you have a hold and spin now, and then within the hold and spin, you have like a nested pick bonus, which augments the hold and spin. So I think we're seeing these, obviously we had the triple pots, and that's where all the pots interact with each other, and now we're kind of doing these nested ones, so more vertically instead of horizontally. So you can sort of like infinitely combine these different features, and I think we're only scratching the surface there. Aside from that, I mean, like the perceived persistent stuff and the triple pots are still strong as ever. Those don't walk on a floor today, and then that's like half of what you'll see.
Yeah.
But it has been interesting to watch sort of the journey there with perceived persistence.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's everywhere. Do you see, somebody was telling me, I think almost a year ago, they came on and they said, if you watch the true persistence games, they'll like go to the top of the Eilers charts, and then they'll inevitably fall off very quickly. Is that true?
Oh yeah, I totally.
And this is true persistence, and the difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Really quickly, can you explain the difference for the listener who might not know?
Yeah, so true persistence means, at its core, it's the return to players different on each spin. So with perceived persistence, the volume of the pot, or the size of the pot, is unrelated to the RTP of your next spin. So the likelihood of hitting a bonus is exactly the same. It doesn't matter.
Basically, the graphics on the screen don't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll look like it's gonna burst, or the pot's gonna close, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't connect to the
right.
RTP.
It's almost akin to like walking up to like a roulette table, and it has like the records of the spins, and it's like red, 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 red. It doesn't mean the next one's gonna be black. So like, kind of like, similarly to the pot filler, like, just because it's huge and it hasn't hit in a long time doesn't mean you're going to hit it on the next spin. Whereas with true persistence, it's usually aided by like some sort of like figure, like a number or something. Like that's usually a tell sometimes, although now suppliers are starting to hide some of these things. But if you see a number on it, that's typically a tell.
A number where?
So like you'll see a pot and it'll have like a 6 on it or something.
Okay.
So like some sort of visual counter, or yeah, it's usually sort of some sort of physical counter like that. You'll see something like that, like Buffalo Link. You'll see in the screen like a counter. So you'll see things like that, and that's usually a tell whether it's true or perceived. Although now we're seeing some innovations where the lines are getting a little bit blurred.
Okay, so those are a little bit more hidden.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
true persistence is like it's going to hit by.
Yeah, it could be a must hit by. It could be like you have guaranteed 80 wilds, and then that number keeps growing over time. Okay, now it's 85, and then you're guaranteed that amount once it finally hits. So that when it hits, like you'll have a much better bonus.
Yeah, and I think the perceived downside of true persistence games is that not everybody knows they're playing a true persistence game. So somebody could be spinning for hundreds of spins and they'll never hit it, but then that's where like the advantage players come in. Who kind of case the place, and they're going to make sure that that game is in an advantageous state before they go play it, and then they're going to win. So there's like a lot of debate over that. Yeah,
and there hasn't been like, because we monitor these things, and we're definitely seeing less and less of those games produced. Obviously right now maybe there's some concern because there is like an incumbent amount still on the floor that you could go and play. But just in terms of like what's being put out there like this year, last year, like that number is getting lower and lower. Vendors are not just, it will probably be much less of a conversation I think in a few years because those games have aged out. They're probably not on the floor anymore, and then there's less sort of in the product roadmap. So I'd say in a few years here, in the midterm, it's probably gonna be less of a hot conversation.
Yeah, because you were saying that you were agreeing that they do kind of spike on the charts and then they drop off pretty quickly. Is there like a pretty common like, oh, that's a true persistence game?
Yeah, exactly. Like I was just over at Durango Casino earlier. I live near there. And I was they have a few of them, and I was just kind of looking at the counters, like where, because I know the reset points, right? Like I was looking at a game, and I know the resets at 5. It resets at the 5, and I was like clicking through every single step and every single denom, and it was like all reset. It was all exactly at the same spot. So what that means is players, they hit the bonus, it reset, and they got up. So people learn when to get up. So. And that's, you'll find that with any sort of true persistence game. Like good luck finding like a Scarab which has like the 10 you go through the 10 spin cycle. It's usually set on at the beginning of the cycle every single time, so people know when to get up and get off it, and that's why it starts off really high during that sort of maybe novelty and discovery phase. And then after that, I mean, you get burned a couple times and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go play something else.
Yeah, it's clearly not fun.
Yeah, like long. Yeah, like it's like there's that novelty and exploratory factor in the beginning, and then maybe it just doesn't stick for most people. There are games that do though, so I don't want to like just blanket it. Like Cash Falls, Light and Wonder game, like that's really really nice game. It's a total true persistence game to its core, but it's very short cycle. It doesn't have that same exploitability, and that's a game that's been around forever and they're still putting out more of them, and it's just a fantastic game. So it's hard to come up with a criteria for good versus bad of these, except for subject to exploitability, which is even then kind of hard to define.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like that would be the only way that those games would last longer or have any kind of staying power if they do have a shorter cycle. Yeah,
there are games like that do that. IGT Magic Treasures game that has a persistence function to it, but there's a lot going on in the game. It's just one piece of it. Yeah. The game needs to be sort of well-rounded, or there's a rich features game that has a nice jackpot pick bonus, and that game has had really good success and nice return rates and everything like that. So it is hard to wrap your head around, to generalize around any of this.
Yeah.
Except for, I mean, the only thing you can really walk away from it is that, perceived persistence and those triple pot games are really, really popular. That's
Yeah.
something we know, and they continue to be popular, and they're getting produced in record amounts, and they're still really popular.
Yeah, they're huge. I would say most of the floors these days are
Yeah,
huge persistence, right?
yeah, it is. It's interesting. I was thinking about this. I think it was an old Shuffle Master game, 88 Fortunes, like 20 like mid 2010s, and that was kind of like I think the first one where you had like a pot and it was
Hmm.
kind of filling with gold. You kind of think about how that's evolved over time, like 10 years later.
Yeah.
So now you kind of like have this game, and then okay, it evolves, and then you kind of get into, I mean, one of the best performing perceived persistence games later was the Aristocrats Food Island Lin, and then you had the Baozu with the fireworks, and then you had 4-pot, and then you have 5-pot, and it's kind of like interesting to think about kind of like this journey of the game. And then now you have like triple pot games like in Georgia skill gas stations, and it's kind of like 10 plus years later. So it's so fascinating to think about like the journey of like a mechanic, like at its beginning all the way down to where it is today. It's interesting to sort of to think about.
What other trends are you seeing? Or do you ever see a game come on and you're like, if they only like read the report, they would realize that though that combination is not a winning combination.
No, I would say because it is an art and a science, and like you can have like all the ingredients, but at the end of the day, it's the marriage between sort of the math and the feel and the sound and the visualization. So I mean, it's hard to opine on why something works or doesn't work, or sometimes you have things that just sort of like transcend like the current meta. Like okay, like Triple Pot is doing really well, but then you have like a game like Light and Wonder's Huff and Puff come in, and it's not that blueprint that's everyone else is following, but it's a fantastic game. It's transformative and disruptive, and same with Bluberi's Devil's Lock. It doesn't follow that same blueprint everything else was following. It was very unique and novelty, and I mean you can mark them as like just huge inflection points in game design, and really important.
Yeah. And that's interesting you mentioned Huff and Puff and Devil's Lock because those are in-house
Mm-hmm.
games. What do you call them? They're not
Like
licensed.
proprietary.
Proprietary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are getting bigger and bigger. I mean, Buffalo's been going on for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Lightning Link, Huff and Puff. I still don't know why they haven't done Huff and Infinity Puff. I feel like that's the best name ever, but they're
You
gonna
heard
add
it
a
here
couple more.
first.
Yeah, yeah. You heard it here first. I do want some kind of ownership there. Yeah, but those are you seeing way more of those compared to like the licensed IP games at this
Yeah,
point?
totally. So we've definitely seen a huge shift from like the portfolio mix. Like you used to have a good amount, like especially on the premium side, you'd have a pretty good amount of licensed content versus proprietary. And then, okay, I'm gonna put out this many games. But we've definitely seen a shift towards using those in-house brands across all vendors. You see it like with, obviously Bluberi the Devil, and then AGS you have the Rake and Bacon. I think it's Corn Squilius is the
I
pig's
love that
name.
pig. I love that pig.
And then like Wonder Huff and Puff, and then obviously Aristocrat has a number of well-known brands.
What does IGT have? What's theirs?
Cleopatra,
Ah,
Wolf Run, Black Widow, which a lot of those games, it's interesting. You look at like the ones, for example, the Wolf Run, that's been a top performing game. They took that Wolf Run model, modernized it with a triple pot. So there is something really nostalgic about those games that seems to be working when you sort of modernize those proven math models, and you modernize it, and they do tend to be working with everyone. But back to your question about sort of like that mix, when you kind of look at the data, you get really strong performance from modernizing and augmenting those in-house brands, and growing on that franchise, especially because I think those mascots and those avatars become kind of staples. People know the wolf and the pigs, and people like have like, if you watch YouTube videos, like people speak in ways where like they have slang for it, like like it becomes like
it's like a fandom.
yeah, it's like a fandom. Like
Yeah.
there's there exactly. Yeah, and we've definitely seen it, like just objectively there's been just less development towards the licensed content. I mean, Aristocrat just had a really nice launch with the Monopoly big board box, really strong launch.
That cabinet is so cool, by the
It's
way.
so cool,
It's so
yeah.
cool.
It's really cool, yeah. But it's you also have these like amazing in-house brands, so it is, it's a balance for sure.
Do you think like with the economy the way it is what I'm hearing is a lot of people are shying away from the exploratory games and going back towards like what they know. And this
Hmm.
is, I guess, more for the operators and what they're putting on the floor. They're like, okay, we're not really ready to experiment anymore, or we kind of want to shy away from that. We want to go back to like what's going to hit every time, which is probably a million more of these variations of the in-house games and possibly some licensed IP. But
Hmm.
with licensed IP, I'm guessing those are all lease games. Are
Yeah,
those all lease
that's
games?
yep, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for the
Yeah.
most part.
But are you seeing that too, that people are kind of shying away from more of like the games that are a little bit more of a risk?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've definitely numbers wise, like you're probably getting like in terms of like adopting from a concept that already exists, probably like 20% of games to 30%.
Okay.
Um, in terms of, I'm just trying to think from a vendor perspective too. It takes you 2 years to make a game,
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of like you're kind of in this position where it's like, okay, I want to take something where I know triple pot's in right now and I know this combination, I want to try it with this, or I want to evolve on it with this, or I could do something and totally swing for the fences. And I see how that could be. You'd kind of want to be a little bit more risk averse, especially if you're spending all this time and
Yeah.
effort and investment on something. It makes sense to kind of probably be a little bit more risk averse. In which, it's interesting when you have to kind of contrast that between you have like the big three vendors who can put out, hundreds of games each year. And then you have kind of like a smaller mid-sized vendors, and it's like I got like five. I can do like 5 to 8, 5 to 20,
Yeah.
and you have to be a little bit, maybe a little bit more risk averse with your portfolio. So I definitely think the bigger three vendors have a little bit more um, opportunity to be a little bit more exploratory,
Mm-hmm.
given just their resources. That doesn't mean you can't take a calculator risk or evolve on something thoughtfully.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of all of this?
Oh man, I was thinking about this earlier. There's a couple favorite parts, but I love just being, a steward of the data and seeing it come in, because it almost feels like sometimes
Do you feel like God?
no, not like God, but like having like a front row seat to like history and action almost,
Mm-hmm.
because you can see like it's so obvious sometimes, like these huge inflection points, like these disruptive games, like when Huff and More Puff came out. I'm like, we just knew that this is going to be something big.
Mm-hmm.
Devil's Lock is the other one I mentioned that you just kind of know. And then we had most recently like Railroad Riches, Sega Sammy. We knew that this was going to be just a huge. This is going to be a huge opportunity for them and really elevate them. So it's really cool to kind of watch that history in action and just kind of being able to see kind of like the growth of these companies.
Yeah.
So love that.
That would be. I think I would get really excited if I saw a game go to number one. I'm like, oh, I can't wait for them to see this. How do you rank these games? Like when you're putting all of this performance data together, what are you guys doing for that?
We work with the operators and we collect basically a summary of the games. One of the KPIs we ask for is a theoretical win index. And for anyone who's not sure what that is, it's basically a KPI that measures how much theoretical revenue the casino earns relative to an average. So let's say the average game performs at $100, and then we're reporting something as two. Then you would just do 2 times 100, and that gives you 200. So then we're kind of using this sort of relative number so everyone can kind of speak the same language, and we're standardizing it. Um, the theoretical win index, it's kind of a way to measure. It's a function of a few different things. It's how much time on device the player is playing, how much are they wagering, how much is the machine holding. It's super easy to understand. It's super easy to collect on a monthly basis. Everyone knows what it is. So It's really been easy to scale with that as a KPI, and it's just very inefficient. We use that as our measure to rank games.
Has there ever been a time on device number that you're like, whoa?
Yeah, we definitely. You can definitely see some really crazy numbers sort of out the gate. Like you can see probably like like you get like Monopoly or something, and they've been on the floor and everyone's kind of like lined up, and you can get some crazy numbers. But
what's the most you've ever seen? Like,
oh my gosh,
what's a really big number you've seen?
Oh my gosh, I would say coming out with like for a core game like 2's pretty solid. Premium high 2's is pretty solid. I'm
and when
pretty
you say
sure.
That, are you talking 2 minutes? Or are you talking...
Like two times average.
2 times average.
Two times average. So,
but
like,
2 minutes doesn't feel like okay.
No, 2 times the average amount played.
Okay.
Or theoretical win. So I would say we have seen some games like I don't remember like Huff and More Puffer like some of the Aristocrat games, but if you see those coming out at like 3 or something, like it's pretty good sign that it'll be a good game.
What does that number compute to for like regular people?
For an operator, it's the way they would use this number is I'm reading the Eilers report and it says, okay, this game is doing 2.5. And if my average is $200 per day, then I would just say 200 times 2.5 is 500. And then I can assume, on average, I'd assume I would earn that much. So then I can sort of think about this from how is this game going to do on my floor, and I can sort of use it for ROIs or kind of think about if it's worth it, if it's worth the investment. Different casinos around the world, you might have 2,000 units and you're in a metropolitan area, and then you over here, you have 300 units and you're in the Midwest, and then it's a way we can sort of speak the same language and compare apples to apples.
I see. So they basically can take that and put their own numbers into
exactly.
it. Exactly. Like you're basically giving them the formula.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because someone, your win per day over at Casino X is going to be different than your win per day over at Casino Y.
So you talked a little bit about how the big 3, which are obviously IGT, Light and Wonder, and Aristocrat, how they obviously have way more wiggle room to create these games they can have a lot more misses than mid-tier or the smaller suppliers. But what are the mid-tier suppliers doing right now that's like really working for them? Because they've had some, I mean, we mentioned Devil's Lock like 5 times.
Yeah.
What is Konami doing really well? Like I've heard that their systems are really good. What's kind of setting the mid-tier apart right now to even compete with the big 3?
I mean, Konami launched after G2E their newest portrait cabinet, Solstice 49C, which has been an absolute success. Lots of great games, Bomberman, Red Fortune Rails. So that new cabinet and sort of, I'm not sure if they had any changes to their sort of product strategy, but huge success there. We're seeing that in both the game performance numbers and then just sort of the installs that are going out on the floor. AGS has been quite on a run too. Lots of top new games, lots of new cabinets. Obviously, Sega Sammy has been another one that's kind of come into a little bit more elevated in everyone's eyes, and that was off of the Railroad Riches game, and we're kind of waiting to see what's next from them. Yeah, quite a bit of good stuff from those guys.
I mean, what would your strategy be if you're a smaller guy like that? Would you want to focus more on like your cabinets and like competing in that realm? I mean, I guess they're all different, but I'm just trying to think, what would I want to do to set myself apart? That is
a tough question. There's that balance between theme and hardware, but like, and I'm going to go back to that Bluberi example. That Devil's Lock game that really set them on the map. That was a software thing. Like they were using an older cabinet, so that was like totally software driven. Yeah. There's a little bit of It's a little bit of both, but you can really knock it out of the park with just a really good theme.
And are you seeing, I mean, I know you work specifically more in the land-based side, but since you guys also do report on iGaming, are you seeing some of those games where you're like, why didn't this cross over and do really well here? Are there any games where you're like, this should have been a slam dunk, but I guess, because the iGaming users, those are very different players than land-based.
Totally.
So we already have that going for us, but were there any that really surprised you?
I would just say like the environments are like totally different. I mean, you have so many different vendors. For one, that's a big one. You have so many different vendors. When you log into an online casino, you have hundreds and hundreds of options. Whereas if you go into a casino, land-based casinos, only physical seats you can sit in, and then someone's might be in your seat anyways. So it's just it's a completely different beast. And as you said, the mechanics are different. It's harder to do, like, for example, expanding reels on your iPhone. Like, you can go to a portrait cabinet over here, it's 55 inches, and you can visually do this really beautiful display of certain mechanics. So you get different mechanics. You get different suppliers because you have a lot of them that have European-based origin, so they're bringing a sort of different model. But you do still have really good games. Like, if you put Huff and Puff online, it's gonna perform in both channels. But it is, as you said, it's definitely a different beast, and it's really interesting to watch. We are seeing to see like some convergence a little bit. I would say a year and a half ago, you didn't really see triple pot, for example. Go back to that example. You didn't really see triple pot online, and now if you go to like the top online games, like a pretty good amount of them do have triple pot. So I think those iGaming vendors are looking to the land-based environment, and they are adopting some of those strategies, and they do tend to work. I would say in the reverse, though, it doesn't seem to be the same. Things like mega ways, variable ways, those don't really tend to work in land-based. At least they haven't, from what we've seen recently. So
you're talking going from iGaming game,
like iGaming mechanics that work well in land-based. That does not tend to be the case typically. You see like a lot of like kind of like novelty, like I want to say like Candy Crush games, like a lot of cascading reels, and those don't tend to really work in the physical space. So just a lot of different exceptions and similarities, but also a lot of dissimilarities too.
Yeah, they do feel like two completely different games,
right?
On, land-based and iGaming. So I get that. I wouldn't want that to be my job.
And they have they have a lot shorter of a roadmap too. So like with land-based, as we talked, you need a couple of years to put a game out there. If you can put out an online game, I've heard 6 months. It might be shorter, might be a little bit longer, but you have a lot more space to be, try new things.
That's true.
And just the volume that comes out, so less investment, less time investment, less money investment. So, for the cost of one land-based game, you can like a lot more iGaming games. So you have more room to try new things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Too bad you can't try it out on iGaming first, make sure it works, and then go to land-based.
I think that's what vendors are. Well, I guess like some of the big vendors, that's what they are. Like that's what they'll do is they'll try their games in like a free-to-play, like an online free-to-play, and just try out those mechanics there. And okay, that tests really well. It might be an indication it'll work with real money gaming.
With real money gaming or with land-based gaming?
Probably both.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
That's hard though, because iGaming, those players are so different.
Yeah.
From land-based. So then you also have to factor in that too.
You do. Yeah, that is true.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, you should. Yeah. I guess I understand why you would want to try that, but I'm also like, there's so many variables there.
There is a lot of confounders.
So different.
Yeah, there's a lot of confounders for sure.
I'm glad that's not my job. Well, we're going to go into the rapid fire now.
Okay.
And this is where you just have to choose one or the other, and that's your choice, and that's what you're married to forever. So.
Okay.
And it's on record. Anyway, no pressure. Premium cabinets or great core games?
Go great core.
Ooh, huge immersive cabinets or more games on the floor? Think of like the Monopoly. I think the right answer is you have to have a mix, but
I'll go more games.
Okay.
I'll go more games.
Hold and spin or link mechanics? Which one does better?
They'll often be correlated, but I will go with hold and spin.
Persistence mechanics or jackpot mechanics?
I'm going to go persistence.
Feature-rich games or simple games with great math?
Feature-rich.
Oh, really?
But
You can explain this one. Okay.
Yeah, so like a good triple pot, but nothing else going on. So I mean, feature rich as in has a nice triple pot, but that's the focal point of the game. We're not messing around with a bunch of other stuff.
Okay. All right, I get that. What's the most overused phrase in gaming?
Oh, maybe skill based.
Oh, what does that even mean?
I don't
even know.
well, that was kind of big like when I was first joining the industry and kind of like that in pursuit of the younger generation, that kind of like
Okay.
skill based, and it was kind of like a hot topic for a while.
Is that just like
Kind of like a video game almost, like for like one of the video game ones where
Okay,
yeah,
I
like
see. Yeah.
the arcade kind of style ones, like the Space Invaders one, but it's like gambling.
And you're tired of hearing this because why?
Because
I guess does it
I
actually
guess
work?
I guess like you hear a lot about like how do we get younger players to play slot machines, and like it's this like kind of like existential question about like we got to figure this out, we got to innovate, or the industry is going to suffer. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've ever subscribed to that view, because I think the games are innovating at their own pace, but we're not really acknowledging it because we're so stuck in the day to day. Like the games are so different now, just even like 5-10 years ago. Like we have all these screens and the artwork's changed, and that is innovation. And we're not really recognizing that as a piece of the innovation, and we don't need to overtune it. And people will sort of graduate into higher discretionary incomes, time, and sort of that overtuning to try to chase this sort of like younger player may be unnecessary. So I remember skill-based gaming was one of the solutions, and I didn't do too well.
Didn't do too well. What's the most copied mechanic other than the pots? Would that be considered a mechanic?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean the triple pots definitely up there, but we're getting a little innovative. I think we're seeing 4 pots now, and I think I've seen a 5 pot. So maybe someone can go and do a 6 pot next. So
Wow. And they're all closing, right? Is that the thing? Or they're exploding? I mean, I know some of them have like firecrackers. There's one, I don't know which one it is. It's a fish, and the fish gets too big for the fishbowl and then it
Goldfish.
explodes.
Yeah, the goldfish feeding time. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, which feels a little bit morbid. But yeah, they're just exploding fishes. But yeah, they're like variations of that, right? Is what you mean by like the pot game. Would that be considered like copying a pot game, or no? Is that just more like that's perceived persistence? That's what that is.
Yeah. I think it's like kind of like cute, even like how like people are doing like their different artistic renditions of it, because like as the one you said, and then like there's like a pinata one too from AGS.
Yeah.
And there's it's all the, and then you got the firecrackers, and then like you've seen there's just so many. I like how creative everyone's getting, and it's they're all these like kind of like cute little 3D characters now, and they got the pigs too, the pigs that are
My favorite thing, and not everyone does it, I don't know why, but I love it when you touch a screen and something happens. Like, and I'm not a screen slapper by any means, or like a button slapper. I don't do that, but I love it. I'm touching all the screens to see what happens, and then it's great if I'm doing that during like a demo, and they're like, it doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah, you're
And
looking
I'm
for
like,
the Easter
it's
egg.
fine. I was just checking out
Meanwhile,
the glass. Yeah, this is not breakable. But I like those little additions that they do.
Yeah.
Those little Easter eggs, like you said. What's a game that everybody copied too fast?
There was a lot of Baozu, Zaofu copycats. There was a lot of those. That's the firecracker one.
Oh yeah, okay.
From Aristocrat. There's a lot of copycats of that. I would say that's probably up there in terms of the most copied.
That's Aristocrat?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Aristocrat. Yeah, but there was quite a few renditions from other vendors.
Did it work out for them or no?
Some of them did. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Some of them did quite well.
But it was like obvious.
You know, it's known as the firecracker game, like amongst
right.
players. Like if you
Oh,
kind of
right.
go on you see comments boards or posts or social media, they'll refer to it as the firecracker game.
Yeah.
I wonder if the players can tell. I'm sure probably they can, if they can tell the difference between the different firecracker games, or the different vendors at least.
I know a lot of them, they don't know the names, at least my experience working with the players, but they know their exact game that they like, and that is the game that they're going to stick with. What's the most stressful part of your job?
I would probably say we put out a lot of reports. It's a lot. It's probably stressful for anyone who receives who's on our email distribution list. Probably stressful for them too.
What mechanic actually drives performance?
Hold and spins, cash on reels. Those are like really big ones right now. It's kind of like interesting when you think about like kind of older games. It was kind of like you were kind of looking for three symbols and you get into a free games and like, okay, I'm gonna ride out this free games. And now it's really just all about hold and spin. It's just really hold and spin rich games. I think we're also seeing a lot of shift like artistically towards kind of like those 3D-ish cartoons, like, you know, like almost like Pixar-esque, like when it used to be like you'd walk into a casino as like a sea of like crimson Asian themes, you know, princesses, realistic artwork. And now it's like, okay, it's totally on the other side. The pendulum's totally swung, and we're in this kind of like really whimsical and quirky kind of world now.
There's one with little foxes that I think are really cute. And then, a lot of farm animals.
Yeah.
The farm animals right now.
Lots of farm animals. There's lots of I've seen lots of chickens, cows, and
chickens.
I saw some chickens too. So we're
going that way now.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I've seen a horse one yet, like a cute horse. So.
But yeah. I mean, we've got the pigs covered.
Yeah, I think we're covered on pigs.
Pigs, pandas.
Pandas were covered, I think.
Yeah, cows, dragons. I think we've seen enough dragons for. I do like the Yeti one, that the Aristocrat.
Yeah, Spooky Link.
Yeah, I think that's really cute. I like that guy. I love it when they have like little backstories and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I would go off all that. Okay, so who do you think should be on the podcast next?
Oh, well, I have to come at it with sort of a game performance angle. So I mean, I'd love to see like any sort of like lead designers or heads of game studios. I think it'd be super cool. Get like some more with their philosophy or strategy. It'd be really cool to have someone like that. I'm here in Las Vegas locally too, so what's been interesting about our market is it's just been so strong, really so resilient, despite you know, sort of the perceived macro news and things like that. So you know, just maybe some local you know, the Boyd guys or stations, and their properties have just been doing amazing, and it's like what's going on, what are they doing, and what are they hearing from customers. So I think one of those would be kind of interesting.
Love that would be interesting. Well, if you have any connections, let me know. Happy to have them on. That would be really, really great. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for taking the time today. Appreciate you coming by and chatting with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll look forward. You can find more about your reports where?
Yeah, shoot me a message on LinkedIn, Brendan Moore. We also have a podcast. It's not as frequent as yours, although I wish it would be. A bonus round in Eilers and Krejcik podcast. So please go check that out if you're sort of interested in what's happening in the game performance and in land-based slot worlds. And otherwise, you can just search it up on Google.
Perfect. All right. We'll see you next time.